all game. We are motivated. We are dedicated. Come on now. Come on now. We will win. We are the best on the field. And we hit the field like, all day like, all night like, on the blue light, offense like, defense like, this squad like, house call like, and it sound like, and it sound like, and it sound like.
Welcome to the Short Sports Show. I am your host, Daniel Short. Today is March 31st, 2017. And I am so excited for this show. We got a lot to talk about, some college football news. Of course, the NFL, the Raiders. They made it, it's official. It is official. They will be called the Las Vegas Raiders. But when? When will they be called the Las Vegas Raiders? Because it might not be the Oakland Raiders for too much longer. Of course, the Seahawks have made some news. Could they actually trade Richard Sherman? Would they actually do it? We'll talk about that here in just a second. How is Cam Newton's surgery going to affect the Carolina Panthers draft plan? That is something that needs to be talked about. Also, Colin Kaepernick, his situation that's happening. Why hasn't he been signed? As well as we are only 4 more weeks away from the 2017 NFL Draft. So we've already done a mock draft of the first round. We've already gone through 1 through 32. We are going to do a special for the next, we got to include this week. So 5 weeks, counting this week. We're going to do 5 teams mock draft, their full draft. This week we're starting with America's team, the Dallas Cowboys. We're going to talk about the Dallas Cowboys. We're going to do a mock draft for them today on today's show. I'm excited about that. Lots of news, just lots of news. Last night, in case you guys weren't watching, it was the NIT championship, and you guys know me. I'm a TCU fan, and them Frogs, they did it. They got the W over Georgia Tech in an absolute thrashing of the Yellow Jackets. Final score 88-54. In the NIT championship, TCU absolutely dominated. And now this shows Jamie Dixon, he knows what he's doing. The program after, you got to think about these seniors. I won't stay too much long on this, but these seniors, they started out their first year in the Big 12, their conference, the Big 12 conference. They went 0-18 their first year. 0-18, didn't win a game in conference. Following season, they upset Kansas at home. And now the rest is history. They now win a national championship, or the NIT championship. It's just incredible. It was awesome to watch it last night. And I'm proud of those TCU Horned Frogs. But again, we got a lot to talk about. And of course, like always, we are going to start with college football first. And that is presented by InnerGrind. Today's show is sponsored by InnerGrind. Based out of Houston, Texas, let former Texas State linebacker Michael Rakpo help you reach your fitness and nutrition goals. With personal training classes that start at $40 a session, why not be a part of this rising program? And whether your goals are to lose weight, gain muscle mass, find the right off-season program, or even for you ladies out there to get that booty blast, you can do it all with InnerGrind. Not a Houston area, not a problem. InnerGrind has a program that is personalized just for you. InnerGrind has everything you need to meet your personal and healthy goals. NFL linebackers like Titans Brian Orakpo, Chiefs Derek Johnson, Buccaneers running back Charles Sims, and San Diego Chargers cornerback Craig Mager, along with many other young athletes, have already begun. Find your personalized workout and nutrition plan at InnerGrind.com and call 832-475-2829. That's InnerGrind.com, 832-475-2829. Unleash your inner grind. North Carolina picked up LSU quarterback Brandon Harris. Now, here's the thing. In the spring, transfers happen all the time. And right now, quarterback-wise, there wasn't a whole lot of, oh, man, we can't wait for this JUCO player to come in and see what he's going to do early in spring, early enrollee, or anything like that. It hasn't been a top quarterback going into a big program. That saying, Brandon Harris was that big quarterback, really. And if you watch some film on Brandon Harris, it's not that big of a deal in a sense that it still is. So check this out. Without contradicting myself any further, Brandon Harris, former LSU quarterback, is now picked UNC. He had other places to go. He could have gone to Texas. That was another big name school. He chose North Carolina. Here's my thing. Now, the question is it the right job for him? Was this the best place for him? Now, he comes from a pro-style, run-heavy offense, a run-first offense at LSU. And when he did throw the ball, it just wasn't that good. He didn't make accurate reads. His completion percentage was 53.6% in the past 2 years. It was just bad. And if you don't believe me, and I'm not throwing shade, I'm not hating on Brandon Harris, but watch the Wisconsin game, and that shows you all that Brandon Harris brings to the table. He was later replaced by another quarterback who ended up doing actually really well for the Tigers. So he's looking to go elsewhere. He picks UNC. The problem is this isn't UNC of the past. This isn't the old Tar Heels. This is a spread up-tempo offense by Larry Fedora. And you're gonna and you need a quarterback that can sling the ball accurately and make quick, correct decisions. Brandon Harris, I don't know if he fits that mold. And the thing is, he won't get there. He still has to graduate this spring at LSU before he can transfer. So he won't get there. The earliest could be summer. I just don't know if that's enough time for him to pick up the system, make the chemistry, and go out there and execute week one. I don't know. Tar Heels really don't have any other backup quarterbacks that I would feel confident in. So Larry Fedora has his work cut out for him. And Brandon Harris, I hope he proves me wrong. I really do. Again, I have nothing against Brandon Harris. It's just this. I question the move and why he didn't go to another school that maybe is another pro style. Again, his athleticism does help him. A very athletic quarterback. When he does, he can, of course, make plays on the run, and UNC can fit that for him, but you're not going to be able to scramble every single time. This is in the old video game of NCAA. You've got to throw the ball in this offense, and I don't know if I feel confident in Brandon Harris being that guy. One of our major stories this week for college football is UNLV. Now, of course, they're the biggest winners out of the Oakland Raiders move to Las Vegas. Now, of course, that brand new stadium, which you're seeing on your screen right now, if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe over there, plug. You are seeing a beautiful 65,000 seat stadium in which UNLV and, of course, the Raiders will share. I guess, really, the Raiders are sharing it with UNLV. And I'm calling it right now. UNLV is officially on the come-up. They are. Within 3 years, they will be a Group of 5 favorite. I'm calling it right now. UNLV, now they get to benefit from the new stadium and the city that will house the Raiders from now on, starting in 2020. And their president went on to say, quote, UNLV and the entire Rebel family welcome the Oakland Raiders to Las Vegas. We look forward to a long-term partnership with the Raiders, and the Stadium Authority Board will give UNLV football access to world-class stadium and accompanying game day experience that will rival the best in college football, end quote. Now, the construction of the new stadium, the Rebels will go from holding a capacity of 40,000 in their Sam Boyd Stadium right now to 65,000. Then you also get the new facilities that UNLV had already planned, and now they're getting that on top of this, and they're going to share with the Raiders. They're going to also use their facilities. This is a win-win. And this is why I'm calling. Now, I know you look, well, UNLV, they went 4-8 last year. The year before that, they won 2-10. They've been struggling. Here's the deal. And yes, the 65,000 seat stadium, well, you still got to fill that up. It can hold that much, but you still got to fill that up. This is why UNLV is on the come up. Let me explain here. UNLV, of course, these facilities, if you talk to any student athletes, I have the privilege, I work for a scouting agency, I've interned at a high school football, and you talk to student athletes and you ask them, what are the main factors into your recruiting decision? obviously the school and the coach, but facilities comes up about 3 factors. In the top 3 factors, facilities is somewhere in there. Give or take, depending on that athlete and when they say it. Facilities is number 1. It is top 3. So now UNLV gets this. You look on the map, UNLV, they can now start getting kids that are overlooked by the California schools, by the Washington schools, by Oregon schools. And now they're like, well, I can just come over here. During the break, I'm not that far from home. I can go travel. I can go see my family. And I get to play in this spectacular, beautiful stadium. And I get solid education. UNLV is a nice school. I got to be in Las Vegas. Why not come here? Now it's more attractive. And now UNLV will be able to sell out some of those games. They'll get bigger opponents because now they can house more visitors, I guess you can say. And this now puts UNLV in. I mean, I'm not trying to talk about the Big 12 expansion all over again because last offseason, that's all we talked about. But it's going to come up again at some point. It looks like this offseason it's going to get skipped. But it's going to come up at some point. Now UNLV can rival a lot of those schools and say, look, we've now got the Raiders here. We're going to have a hockey team here. Baseball, if they ever expand, could go there. If the NBA expands, Las Vegas now becomes a popular destination. Still hoping for the Seattle Supersonics. But UNLV becomes relevant. And when you're looking at schools, Colorado State was obviously a popular pick and a favorite as well. They're upgrading their stadium to a beautiful stadium. If you have not seen it yet, please go check it out. That stadium is going to be beautiful. But now UNLV says, look, we've got this. Everybody's coming here. Las Vegas is still Las Vegas. We deserve to play with the big dogs. I'm telling you, it's not going to be this year. Maybe next year you'll start seeing a big rise. But UNLV is going to start getting up there. And, of course, that brand new stadium won't be in place until 2020. But let me know in the comment section down below. Do you see UNLV being a Group of 5 favorite? I think so. And now they could possibly rival to probably go into a Power 5 conference within 5 years. So I'm excited. I think it's a really good thing. I know we've kind of talked about, I don't know if I really like the Raiders going to Las Vegas, but for UNLV, this is, and I don't dislike UNLV, but I'm not a fan of UNLV, but I mean, I like them now with that new stadium, and that whole thing is going to be lit up for them. It's not like, they're going to have half the stadium reserved or something they can't use, or I don't know if you guys have seen the video graphics of them, but woo, man, that stadium is beautiful. Of course, the stadium in Los Angeles, that's going to be a little bit more amazing. A little more amazing because mainly the Chargers are going to be there, but that's whatever. We're moving on to the NFL and some of the biggest news in the NFL other than what the Raiders, which we'll talk about here in just a second. The Seattle Seahawks said that they are entertaining offers for Richard Sherman. I know it's a business. I don't like it. I don't like this on why you would have field trade offers for Richard Sherman. I get that you can get something in return, of course, and being Richard Sherman, a lot of teams were interested, including the New England Patriots. They reached out to the Seattle Seahawks to see what could happen in order to get him before they ended up signing Stephon Gilmore. Now, 2 days after the owners' meetings, the Seahawks have made it clear that they're willing to listen to offers for Sherman. Seattle Seahawks head coach Pete Carroll said, quote, "You're either competing or you're not. And so we've always had to be open for everything and, every suggestion that comes along. There have been some teams that have called, and so we've talked about it, but he's extremely important to our football team," end quote. This is going to cause a little rift in the Seahawks, and I'm starting to worry that we might see the falling apart of the Seahawks dynasty of what was once. And here's my thing. we've seen a lot of Seahawks players that were part of that championship team start leaving. A lot of them left because they wanted that bigger money and bigger contracts, and you usually get overpaid after you win a Super Bowl. And the thing is, Lynch is gone. I know they still have Russell Wilson, of course, but Pete Carroll's not getting any younger. I don't know how much longer he's going to coach. It's starting to worry me, and now they're trying to possibly trade Richard Sherman. And what Sherman had to say, it's kind of telling once you look into it. Quote, "I just laugh it off, man. It's funny to me, but sometimes people need to see you gone to realize what you had. The grass isn't always greener on the other side, but I don't let things like that bother me. The chips will fall how they're supposed to." He's kind of telling the Seahawks, look, I get it. I'll still go play anywhere else. I don't know. I don't like it. I wish this story never came out. I wish the Seahawks weren't talking about it and just denied it completely, because it's not worth trading him. He's 28 years old. He's got 2 years remaining on his contract. He is due $11.4 million guaranteed in 2017 and $11 million in 2018. So some pretty high numbers. But honestly, I don't feel like that's too high of what we're seeing some players and some DBs starting to get now. I feel like that's honestly kind of cheap for what you're getting out of Richard Sherman, the elite corner. He's never missed a game in the 6 years. He's been to the Pro Bowl the last 4 years. It doesn't make sense to me. I get the draft picks. I understand that. I'm not saying I don't completely understand it, but it just, he's the face of the defense. I know you could say Cam Chancellor's, Bobby Wagner's starting to be, Michael Bennett's not really. He's just more of just a character. But Richard Sherman is what got the Legion of Boom going. You take a piece of him away, I just can't see it happening. If it does happen, of course, going to Los Angeles wouldn't be a bad idea. He's from Compton, so maybe he comes to Los Angeles for the Chargers, of course, not the Rams. But let me know in the comment section, should the Seahawks trade Richard Sherman, or would it be best to keep him? Also, we got a lot to talk about in the NFL. Raiders. It was vote 31-1 to move to Las Vegas. Miami was the only team the only team that said no, and it wasn't just to be like, the bad guy or whatever. It was more of them they didn't want to see any more teams move. They were tired of the Rams moving. The Chargers ended up moving. They're like, they want the fan support to stay up. That was really it. Mark Davis was okay with it. He was like, it's all right. But 31-1. The whole week they was talking about, maybe they'll get 26 votes. Some saying 28 votes. All you need was 24. Some said 23. They just get to that last vote. And it was 31-1. That's crazy. Now, the soon-to-be Las Vegas Raiders, they're kind of in a little situation. Now, obviously, their brand new stadium, like we talked about earlier in the show, won't get built until 2020. That's when it will be, or I should say, completed in 2020 in Las Vegas. Now, the Los Angeles Daily News reported Wednesday that the Raiders could move to San Antonio in the meantime because things are a little iffy in Oakland. Now, Oakland, being petty as possible right now, they don't want the Raiders. And this year, it's basically almost, and even though with all this uncertainty, it's really a lock that the Raiders will play in Oakland in 2017. The only way they don't is if they ended up sharing with the 49ers. San Antonio can't open up right now in 2017. It's just with trying to get everything set up for the season, it's just too soon. And there was talk, in 2019, San Antonio's like, let's go. Now, of course, San Antonio was one of the teams that really wanted the Raiders to come and move officially and become the San Antonio Raiders or Texas Raiders. I don't know how they would end up changing their name. But that, of course, did not work out. The NFL saw Las Vegas as a better fit, which you look at the media markets, I'm telling you. Anyways, now, of course, the NFL Network is reporting Levi Stadium could be an option for the Raiders and end up sharing with the 49ers, which wouldn't be a bad situation. It would kind of be like, because Oakland's being very petty. Now, in this situation, of course, we talked about the city of San Diego and the Chargers ownership. Both were at fault of not getting a stadium deal done. It wasn't just Dean Spanos being, I just really want to move to Los Angeles. Well, that was his kind of mindset. From that time period, he really wanted to get a deal done in San Diego. San Diego was like, we don't want to pay for anything, and this is happening. They were both at fault for that move. For this move, for Oakland and the Raiders did everything and more than any team to stay in that city. They wanted to stay in Oakland. They did not want to move at all. The city of Oakland, being broke and poor, said, no, we're not going to pay for anything. So they're like, all right, we're leaving. Now they're like, well, we don't even want you. 2019, you're definitely not being here. 2017, 2018, you have year options here to play here. That's fine. We'd rather have you gone after this season. After 2017, they don't even want them in 2018, but they definitely don't want them in 2019. So Oakland, for the Raiders, for them to get back, I would just be like, you know what? I'll just go play across the bay in San Francisco, where they're getting all the money, and we'll just share the stadium with the 49ers. And we'll still stay here for the fans that, and it's weird, the Raiders fans, Raider Nation is much stronger because they're in full support of the move. They're like, yeah, we saw it coming. Cool. Chargers fans, they're over there crying and yelling. Still to this day, they're still crying. I mean, still to this day, it's acted like it's already been a couple years. They're still crying about the move. But Oakland fans, or Raiders fans that are in Oakland, they're just like, we'll still support you if you're here, or if you're in Vegas, cool, still Raiders. That's awesome to see. Now, let's see, what else do we have? Now, San Antonio, of course, they said they're willing to host the Raiders for a year or two, however long, and become the official city of the silver and black. Of course, the San Antonio Spurs are black and silver as well. And the Alamo Dome, it can host the NFL teams. It has before when Hurricane Katrina happened and the Saints needed to find a couple home games. 3 home games in 2005 were at the Alamo Dome for the New Orleans Saints. Of course, the Dallas Cowboys sometimes have training camps there. It can all work out. And I would like to see it, of course, being here in San Marcos, kind of in between Austin and San Antonio. You really don't have too much here in sports, professional sports. Of course, you either got to go to Houston or you go to Dallas for the Cowboys. Have the Raiders here for a year. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to be here in 2019. Kind of had plans to get out of San Marcos, but whatever. If I'm still here in San Marcos, then yeah, sure. Hey, Raiders, give me a call. I know I'm a Chargers fan, but I got to get a paycheck somehow, you know what I'm saying? But anyways, I like to see the Raiders be here in 2019 or 2018 if sooner. That would be awesome to see them here for a couple years and just have a little bit of fun. And then off to Las Vegas in 2020. Let me know in the comment section down below, should the Raiders play in San Francisco? Could they actually, there's actually a quick thing. They could end up going to play at Qualcomm Stadium in a city called San Diego. Eesh, that would be awkward because, that whole stadium would still be black and silver. And imagine that. It would be the Los Angeles Chargers in visiting their old home in San Diego, playing the Raiders as the away. I mean, they've always been the away team because San Diego fans, as much as they cry about the Chargers not being there, you never show up. Ooh, fire. Woohoo! I gotta do my thing. All right, so like I said earlier in the show, we are 4 weeks away, depending on when you're watching. This is on Friday, March 31st. We are 4 weeks away from the NFL draft. It's right around the corner. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. But since we're counting this week, we're going to do 5 teams mock draft. Now, we've already done a mock draft, which you could go watch on YouTube. We've already have that recorded, or listen to the full show and listen to all 32 picks on the Short Sports Show. Link is in the description down below. But this time, we are going to do a mock draft, full 7 rounds, mock draft, 5 select teams. You guys get to pick. But this week, it is the Dallas Cowboys. Next 4 weeks, that's up to you. You can tweet me at Short Sports Show using hashtag Short Draft and let me know what team you would like to see. So this Dallas Cowboys, America's team. Are they still America's team? 7 picks in this year's draft. 7 picks. They've got 2 in the 7, 1 in the 6, none in the 5th, 1 in the 4th, 1 in the 3rd, 2nd, and onwards. I did that backwards because I thought it was going to be easier. That was dumb. Now, of course, they have lost basically their whole secondary other than Byron Jones. Everybody's gone. Barry Church, Brandon Carr, Morris Claiborne, and then they lost some defensive ends. You've got Terrell McClain, Jack Crawford, J.J. Wilcox. Whoa. Those guys are gone. They added Nolan Correll, as well as Stephen Pia. But that's really it. They don't have a lot of guys. The secondary is just been destroyed. I really thought they would try to lock up Morris Claiborne because before he got hurt, he was having his best season. I know it took him about 4 years to get it done, but he was looking solid. Then they let him go. Now they have the 28th pick in the first round, and I really do not see the Dallas Cowboys trading up. They're in a position where they really can sit, and depending on how this draft goes, they're really in a good pool area, I guess you could say, of selecting players with current needs. Now, a lot of people are having, again, this is if I was picking for the Dallas Cowboys, some fans are going to like it, some fans aren't. This is my show. It's a Short Sports Show. So you don't like it, oh well, you don't have to watch. But I feel really confident in this, and I think Dallas Cowboys fans would feel confident as well because they are needing guys. This draft, it's going to go about 4 or 5 rounds deep. They need guys to go ahead and play immediately. I mean, you're looking at potential starters all the way into that 4th round, I should say. And I know for some teams that's like maybe the first 2 rounds and 3rd round, that guy gets a little bit of special teams time. No, the Cowboys, ton of needs, and thankfully the needs that they have, a lot of depth in this NFL draft. So first round, I'm going a little bit differently. A lot of people are having Charles Harris from Mizzou, defensive end, and while that is a need for the Cowboys, I think Charles Harris is going to get picked a little bit earlier. His NFL combine, he tore it up. He absolutely tore it up, and from what I heard, his player interviews were pretty good as well. His pro day was solid. I think it's going to go a little bit higher. So with that, big need, defensive tackle Martavius Adams from Auburn. Again, big guy. Interior plugs up the line. I know they need a pass rusher. I feel solid. And Jones, what was his name? I can't think of it. 95. That wasn't even Jones. That was Irwin. My fault. Montavious Adams, big dude, plugs up the line. You can have a run stuffer right there in the first round. And this guy, in the NFL Combine as well, he tore it up just as much. He's a big body and someone the Cowboys could rely on very quickly. And the reason I'm not going with, of course, if Charles Harris is there, I might be okay with switching that, but I feel Adams is the better pick because he is an absolute monster, that defensive tackle. Everyone continues to talk about the sacks. Cowboys, I believe they could get another pass rusher in this draft in just a few rounds. And here's why. Stick with me. If you don't like the first go pick, stick with me. It all makes sense towards the end. So who else? We got second round. Jalen Tabor, corner from Florida. He's going to fall. He's going to fall in the draft. His combine was not so well. His 40 time was slow. Not too good. But the thing is, in the NFL, you do not run 40 yards straight. There's cuts, there's turns, there's stop and goes, twisting your hips. So guess what, Tabor? You're right. You got game speed. That's what's most important. And the Ranger quarter, he's going to be an excellent fit for the Cowboys. You throw him in that slot nickel position, and you've got someone you can truly rely on from Tabor, as Byron Jones is on the outside, and as well as we'll get here pretty soon. In the third round, I like this pick a lot. He's going to fall, sadly, because of his injuries, but fortunately for the Cowboys, good fit. And I know Cowboys are really kind of wanting to stay back from injury-prone guys because right now they took a chance on Jalen Smith, and it looks like he might not even be ready to go in 2017, and who knows if he'll ever be ready to go. But this guy, he will be a less serious knee injury. Eddie Jackson, safety from Alabama. This would be a huge pick. In the third round, he missed 70 games, including the last 2 college football playoff games. But he was an absolute beast when he was on the field. This dude is a thumper, but he can match up with any receiver out there. I love Eddie Jackson. He is one of my favorite safeties in this draft class, which is, again, ton of depth at the safety position. You throw Eddie Jackson in there, he's going to be ready by training camp. He's going to be ready, of course, by the season. This would be a steal for the Dallas Cowboys, and I feel confident with Eddie Jackson over any of the other guys that they could have kept. I like him a lot. I really do. Again, he's going to be healthy. So that's a big thing. Fourth round, I promise you I was not trying to go all SEC here. Hey, I'm not an SEC big fan. Like, oh yeah, SEC, they're the best. Trust me. Listen to the show. It's not me. But in the fourth round, the Cowboys do get their edge player, and it's Deshaun Hall from Texas A&M. The guy who has not been talked about as much because on the opposite side of him was Myles Garrett, who was likely the number 1 pick overall in this year's draft. Deshaun Hall, 6'5", 266, is an absolute beast. And he's just, I mean, you have him against, on the opposite side of Irwin, who's also about 6'4", 6'5". You've got 2 lengthy guys, explosive motors, and you have Martavius Adams in the middle. Now the pick makes sense. And, of course, that's if Deshaun Hall is there. And I think it should be. You have those. I know they run a 4-3, but you got a 3. Woo! I'm telling you, he comes in third down, pass rushing when you need him. He's a big body. He's not a run stuffer, of course. That is where it's going to take a little bit of work from. Going against the run, moving around off the tackle into the guard. He sometimes struggled with that at A&M, and that's why he's going to fall. He's there. You now have 4 starters on your defense, fix the immediate needs, and then you could go to guys later in this draft that are guys that can sit, that can wait, that can learn, and then produce later on. If I'm a Cowboys fan, I love these picks. I really do. Of course, they don't have a 5th rounder, and we're not projecting any trades here. They could end up getting 1 or 2 picks in this year's draft if Tony Romo is traded. Well, wait, they could have a draft day trade. Who knows? I'm not counting on it, so that's why we're not going to go with it. So into the 6th round, Sean Harlew, guard from Oregon State, a good body, good rangy guy, could pull very well. You add him in there, he could sit, he can learn in the Cowboys offense, and then potentially play here and there. I like Harlew a lot as well. In the 7th round, I was a little, I don't know. I feel like the Cowboys could really wait on a tight end, but from what I'm seeing, a lot of mock drafts having them get a tight end. Jason Witten, he signed a 4-year extension. He's not going to play another 4 years. There's no way. I think he's got like 2 years left in him. I know Cowboy lovers, they're going to be like, oh, no, he can play another 6 years. No, he can't. No. But I went ahead and got a tight end. Darrell Daniels, tight end from Washington. He wasn't used as much as I really thought they would in that type of offense. But Daniels, if he could sit under Witten and Witten actually teach him, because if you guys go and watch the Bennett brothers, that E60, and Witten didn't want to teach or help Martellus Bennett at all. He didn't want nothing to do with them. Witten he does seem like a self. I don't like Jason Witten. I don't like him. That's me. But if he can actually teach Darrell Daniels, this would actually be a good pick and a guy that can go out there and block, as well as be more the replacement of Jason Witten and catch out of the field. In the 7th round, if he's available. Now, if you look at a lot of mock drafts, this guy is available from the 6th to 7th round. He's still there. Some have him late 5th. But now he's starting to get a lot of talk. A lot of talk. And for him, that's great. And he could rise up into the draft. Best for him. I don't want to say it's bad. But for the Cowboys, if he can sit, and if he's there in the 7th round, or even if they want to flip the picks in that 7 with Daniels and this guy, this would be huge. Jaylen Brown, linebacker from UCLA. Not as much talked about. He's starting to get talked about. And you go see why. You watch some of his film, and it's a diamond in the rough with this guy. Had over 100 tackles this season. He took over Miles Jack's position from last year. Of course, y'all remember Miles Jack, who was selected in last year's draft. And he did really well. Really wasn't talked about. Speedy guy. Is a little bit undersized, not too much. I think he's right at 6 foot, if so. But he's a rangy guy. He's a speed guy. Sideline to sideline. Something like what Jalen Smith was. Of course, not as quick, but he is very rangy. A cover guy as well. Obviously, can tackle. Over 100 tackles this past season alone. He's been getting a lot of people talking about him. So it looks like he might be rising. But if he's there, even in the 6th round, Cowboys should go get him. Add another linebacker. Hopefully Jalen Smith, of course, can play there. Jaylen Brown, I think he played, it was kind of, the linebacking position for him was kind of inside and outside. I could see them moving him to outside and just kind of playing him around. But inside, he's a guy who can move around a dime package because of his speed. So that is my mock draft for the Dallas Cowboys. Let me know in the comment section if you agree. Cowboys fans, look at all now. Imagine it. I would be excited if this all fell. And it's kind of a hard thing when you go all 7 rounds because it's like, well, if they're there, it's kind of hard. First round, it's a little bit easier because you can move things around a little bit. Seven rounds, it's tough. Tweet me at Short Sports Show. Become a fan on Facebook and use the hashtag ShortDraft to let me know what team you guys want to see in next week's show as we do a mock draft. 4 more weeks to the NFL draft. I'm excited. I'm so excited. Last tidbit of the show, I believe so. Let me see. Yes, sir, indeed. Cam Newton. What's happening with Cam? His surgery could affect the Panthers' draft plan. Check this out. So, Carolina Panthers say they expect quarterback Cam Newton to be ready for training camp after undergoing surgery on Thursday to repair a partially torn rotator cuff. Now, according to Sports Medicine Analytical Research Team, also known as SMART, and InStreetClothes.com, they analyzed data on player injuries, and the 2015 NFL MVP may not be 100% in arm strength or be ready to play immediately at the level that he once was by the opener, by week 1. And in one study of 10 football players, 9 of the 10 who underwent a rotator cuff surgery when non-surgery measures failed returned to eventually play at the same level they were before. 9 out of 10. Research shows that there could be a decline in arm strength for a season or 2, and that Newton may have to be on a so-called pitch count in 2017. Because the NFL season is so long, Smart research indicates Newton likely will be better toward the end of the season than the beginning. Panthers. Now, the good thing is the Panthers, they're kind of somewhat changing their offense. It's not more read option like it once was in his first few years because of no one could tackle him. Now he's, of course, we talked about last year some of the late hits he was getting and not being called and how aggressive people kind of were tackling. I mean, to me, it's football, but whatever. They're changing their offense. And obviously, they need to improve that offensive line. They need some running backs, and this year's draft is kind of the best spot for them. Now, Newton, statistically, he's coming off his worst season of his career. His completion percentage was career worst at 52.9%. And it was only 48% over the final 4 games, including the game he was injured. So how can this affect the Panthers' draft plan? Well, I'm not saying the team is going to go and draft a quarterback in the first 2 rounds, but I wouldn't be surprised if Carolina starts working out a little bit more quarterbacks than they planned with this class. The team is likely to select a running back or offensive line with that 8th overall pick in the first round. And word on the street is that the Panthers are a huge fans of a guy named Leonard Fournette. Yeah, guy from LSU. Yeah, that would be huge. Imagine having that 240-pound backs in the field. Cam Newton and Leonard Fournette. There have also been rumors that the Panthers might trade up with the 49ers to get that 2nd overall pick. Now, that was before Cam's surgery, which, again, it all went well. So we'll see if that just remains a rumor or that the Panthers might have some strategies to consider in selecting. They could trade up to get that number 2 overall pick. Apparently, they like Solomon Thomas as well, the defensive end from Stanford, which he's becoming one of my favorite players quickly, too, after watching some film. For the Panthers, this is where I seriously consider, look, Cam has been banged up past couple years. His ankle injury, a back injury, and now his rotator cuff. Derek Anderson, he did pretty solid, but he's not the guy you want to rely on. And with all this news of Cam Newton not getting signed, Colin Kaepernick, why not go and say, hey, Cap, if you're serious, because remember there was a report that at first he was wanting $9 to $10 million per year, and then he came out and said that's not true. Well, let's see if it's really true. Panthers could go out and sign Colin Kaepernick. Imagine that. As Cam's backup, Colin Kaepernick right there. Would it be a bad signing? And it would give you much more insurance and you feel more confident if Cam Newton were not to be 100% healthy come week 1 and you throw in Colin Kaepernick in there. It'd be a fun battle, some good chemistry there. Let me know in the comment section what you think. That is it for this week's show. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, be sure to hit that like button. Give us a rating on iTunes. And thank you guys so much for listening. As always, God first, God bless. And I will see you guys next Friday. Getting so close to that NFL draft. I cannot wait. I will see you guys then. As always, peace.